Hi and welcome back to the Movement Lesson Sports Academy. We're just looking at part two of the young footballers who are really breaking through on the world stage, going to dominate the game for time to come and be in that conversation to take over as future Ballon d'Or winners. Who's potential injury risk? Who's looking like they've got the best movement to really stay top of the game for a long time to come? These are the type of players that for me personally, I'd like to build a side around and look the best in terms of their movement. We'll start off by finishing a look at Aurelien Tchouameni. We've already noticed the fact that he's got a slight deviance in his pelvic strike. There's still some great rotation that we notice with him, but let's have a look at the end of these clips. And what's noticeable in the next clip that's coming up again, and we've talked about how he's great at moving the ball. First touch is shifting the ball, he's on the move straight away. There's a look, there's a first glance. The ball's on his way about to receive the pass. Here's a second glance. Before he's even touched the ball, he knows where the danger is. He's looked around him. There's good rotation through the body to change direction once, twice. He's left a couple of players behind. Witzel's been caught off guard. He's moving away from another good rotation, drawn the foul. 3, 4 good attempts at rotation there, looking to see how he's able to cross the different midlines. So when we're talking about rotation, when we're talking about pelvic strike, Felipe's done a great definition in the Movement Lesson Sports Academy videos about what we mean by the pelvic strike. So check that out if you're unaware. And also the rotation, I'm going to add a more detailed video to following this, but we're looking at rotations through the body. Now we can see that with the change in the direction, but what we're really looking for is how his body's crossing midline. And that's exactly what Tchouameni was doing there as he was moving away from the Atletico Madrid players. What I feel that is noticeable with Tchouameni as we move, he looks a little bit heavier than some of the other players that we've mentioned. Particularly when you compare him to Pedri, when you look at Jude Bellingham and Ryan Gravenberch, and they move and they look like they glide with a lot more bounce, and they've got more buoyancy, and there's less effort in their movement. Suggests that potentially they've got more rotation through their system than Tchouameni does. Now, he looks quite effortless a lot of the time, the way he moves compared to a lot of players. He has a lot of time on the ball, but he moves heavier. He doesn't have the same level of buoyancy through his body, which is affected by his rotation. Now, we've talked about how he might have issues with his pelvic strike that lead to that bounce as he hits the ball. Check out part 1 if you've not seen that already. But also, and there'd be an example of it here, as he strikes the ball, spreads play, look at that little jump that he has to do to follow through. So if you think about the slight rotation issues potentially, because compared to some of the other elite players we've looked at this video, another one there, and a slight stutter after he's hit the ball before he's able to move. His pelvis doesn't move forward. He's not got a really clean pelvic strike. And that also could be seen in the way that he does move, and looks like he moves a little bit heavier than some of the other players in the clips. To compensate for that, he's probably got to build up more muscle, which is also then going to inhibit his movement compared to some of the other players. Another example there of his jump after he's played the ball too. And all of that can just be like different signs potentially of injury risk down the road, something that they've got to be aware of. We're not talking about strength in this, we're talking about movement. Here we're just going to see this little jump, not so much. There's the stop and start again in his movement there. I think it's the next clip where we're going to see that jump. Here we go, as he sprays the ball wide, the little jump that follows the movement as that pelvis has to come up and allow him to come forward. This is a good example of it. You see it there, that little jump forward that he has, because he doesn't have that momentum, is a slight glitch in his system that there's just an indicator that potentially he does have an injury risk in the future. He's putting more weight, more strain on other areas of the body. And when we talk about the injury risk, when I was first And when we're talking about injury risk, when I was first doing the research and looking at different clips, one of the players that I identified was Germany's Florian Wirtz, and he looked a fantastic player to watch. Again, similar to a lot of the other players, his scanning and his vision was brilliant. The rotation appeared good. His pelvic strike when he's hitting the ball with his dominant right foot looked good. But there was a slight glitch, and I made a note to say that when he struck the ball with his left foot, his pelvic strike wasn't as good and he did actually collapse, making him a potential injury risk. We'll have a look at this one here. He checks back inside and he hits the ball. Look how he falls backwards as he hits the ball. Is it a good finish? Yes, it's a great finish. He's able to compensate. A lot of these players, a lot of great players can compensate for glitches in their movement. But as he checks back here and he strikes the ball, see how he's falling backwards. That fall shows that there's a glitch in his pelvic strike as he's hitting the ball with his left foot. There's several clips that you see where it's the same, where as he hits the ball, again, good weight transfer, moves the ball really well, moves the ball really quickly, no issues with his pelvic strike on the right side, flicking it past the keeper. Head up. Again, no issues as he's putting the ball past the keeper on the right side. Good buoyancy, good leap, showing good rotation through there. And his glitch is obviously on the left side of his body. Now, as I looked, here was another one. As he strikes the ball, there's a slight stop again there as he hit it that time with his right foot. And again, there's not that fall. So when we saw it with Pedri in part one, we saw it with Messi when Pedri was played the ball through to Messi as well. The pelvis is coming through and controls that momentum, and it just means that it's putting less strain on other areas of the body having to compensate. Then when I came to actually record this video and looked at Florian Wirtz, he is injured. And here's Florian Wirtz's injury. And you'll notice what side of the body it's going to be on. There's an expert talking about it online. As he's knocked off balance, you see how the rotation through his leg, his knee's gone one way, his ankle's gone the other. Not a good rotation through his left leg. And as he's been knocked off balance, the hips have collapsed and hasn't come through. And as a result, Florian Wirtz has picked up an injury on that left side. Is that because of a weakness that is occurring through that side of his body? Now, I said we were going to finish off by or bookmark the video, part one and part two, looking at two young Englishmen, and we're going to look at Phil Foden. Foden's ability to have a very effortless running style. You saw it in the first clip then that Foden, again, like Pedri, moves the ball on his first touch in his awareness. I've slowed it down and we're going to go back and look at some of these before Foden receives the ball, but his scanning ability and his critical scanning, his ability for the whole body to rotate and to have a very upright running style that's elegant. His weight transfer is superb, and for me Foden epitomizes a lot of what we've talked about with a lot of the players we've seen so far in these clips. In space, first touch, away from danger. Again, already aware, he'd had a look, he'd had a couple of looks before he received the ball. There you go, critical scan before he received the ball. Rotation, away from players, drawing the foul. There we go. That body, his knees, his legs, his hips, his chest, all rotating really well, crossing their midlines, allowing Foden to be able to move effortlessly. Connecting with his hips and his eyes and his ability to, there we go, bounce up so quickly because of the rotation, glide past players, look effortless. That's a lovely bit Maradona. Rotation's excellent, great touch, and the rotation ability, the counter rotation to stop and go again, and the weight transfer is too good for lesser players. I want to just rewind, and we're going to slow it down and have a look at Foden before he receives the ball in a lot of these clips, and just take a look at the amount of touches that, or the amount of looks, the amount of times that he scans, and particularly that critical scan that you see just before he receives the ball. There's a look. There's another look. The best players scanning is at a higher level. The research shows it. Movement lessons key, and a big factor in players' ability and movement, and the link between the vision and the movement and the ability to rotate. And if we've got glitches in our system, we're not going to have the same level of vision. As the ball's coming in, there's a glance. There's another one. He knows where the pressure's coming from all the time. He's got a better idea of the picture ahead of him. He knows where the defenders are. He knows where the space is. He knows where his teammates are. His ability to rotate and shift his weight so easily, and the other players are stopping, starting, and resorting to fouling him, and that's something that's going to happen throughout his career. And again, that effortlessness, the fact that he's got that level of rotation, he's got that pelvic strike again, will put Foden hopefully at a lower risk of injury than other people. Now, that's not to say he's not going to have a bad challenge and get injured that way, but the risk of a Florian Wirtz, if you see there, he was under pressure at the same time, a similar way that Wirtz was. Foden had that ability to actually ride the challenge and shift his weight even easier, and use his hips to enable him to maintain his center of gravity and to be able to rotate. The rest of his body is perhaps compensating less than Wirtz's because the hips are leading the movement, connecting the top and bottom half of his body. There we go, final footage of Phil Foden. Very upright, always looking around, head up, ability to go in both directions, and again, just gliding past players. Players can't live with him. Is he going to be the fastest in a 60-yard dash? Probably not, but he's got that ability. Here we go. How many looks here before the ball's come in? One. He knows where the space is. First touch moving the ball. Rotation to go around. Players are just being left for dead. He's going to go around in a circle and just leave him in his weight because they don't have the ability to cross their midline and rotate the same way as Phil Foden does. So there you go, looking at some of the top young players coming through, and just like we looked at with the best players in the world, for me, are the most effective players in the world right now, and they're all similar type of players. It's all a matter of opinion, but they've got key attributes with the movement that make them look good, that make it look effortless. The amount of rotation that we see through them, the weight transfer being great, the fact that they've got a really strong, or they've got a prominent pelvic strike, and also their ability to scan and read the game so that they can move that ball on the first touch and move away from danger. They can receive it in tight areas and play the way out. And because the vision's so good and the scanning's so effective, then they can be more creative and pick a pass. Now, some players do have slight flaws that suggest a potential injury risk in the future. Movement lesson can help with that. We can look at identifying glitches in the movement and look to correct that by increasing rotation, using the weight transfer to improve it, to eradicate any potential risk of movement, any potential injury risk from the movement, sorry. If you like the video, please subscribe. Please keep checking back in on the Movement Lesson Sports Academy for more videos. Please like this before you leave as well. Thank you very much.